The title of the GOAT, or the greatest of all time, is the most illustrious, prestigious, and sought-after individual title a player could achieve. There can only be one player that's truly regarded as the GOAT. So throughout more than 75 years of basketball, countless have tried, and only one player has achieved this. Now, the player that holds this title now isn't what concerns us, but there was a player that was destined for this crown. Disregarding all the hyped up prospects who fell short on their face, this player was actually on the right trajectory throughout his career to claim this crown. But unfortunate tragedies happened during the peak of this man's career that completely halted his progress. If he didn't get the short end of the stick, we would be talking about this player in a very different light today. Magic Johnson is the player I'm referring to. I know this may sound a little bit far-fetched now, but I promise you, it won't by the end of the video. Magic Johnson even has a case for the GOAT now. Magic Johnson is a 5-time champion, a 12-time All-Star, 10 times All-NBA, a 3-time MVP, and a 3-time Finals MVP, as well as one of the best perimeter defenders of his era. Mind you, he did all of this in about 12.5 seasons. The general consensus top 3 all-time is Jordan, LeBron, and Kareem, not in any specific order. When we compare the numbers, awards, and achievements of Magic against these 3 GOATs, Magic Johnson definitely holds his own. Despite having a shorter career than the guys ahead of him, Magic still stays afloat. Magic Johnson has 12 All-Star appearances compared to Jordan's 14 and LeBron and Kareem's 19. Magic has 10 All-NBA teams compared to Jordan's 11, Kareem's 15, and LeBron's 19. Magic has 3 MVPs compared to LeBron's 4, MJ's 5, and Kareem's 6. Magic has 3 Finals MVPs compared to Kareem's 2, LeBron's 4, and MJ's 6. And Magic Johnson has 5 rings compared to LeBron's 4 and MJ and Kareem's 6. Even the individual stats are pretty similar. This chart shows the combined points, rebounds, and assists of these 4 players season by season. MJ, LeBron, and Kareem all hover around that 45 to 50 range in their primes of their career, while Magic is slightly below them. Despite that, he's still in the same echelon of greatness as these guys. Although Magic Johnson may not be head and shoulders ahead of the all-time great competition he's compared against, there's still a GOAT discussion to be had that involves his name. Magic Johnson, despite having an abruptly shortened career, still found loads of success, and especially early in his career. Magic Johnson may have the best start to a career than anyone ever had. In the span of 3 years, Magic Johnson won his high school state championship, won an NCAA championship with Michigan State, and then won an NBA championship in his rookie year, winning the Finals MVP. This type of success at this young of an age is practically unheard of in sports. A young Magic Johnson from day one was on track to become an NBA great. Throughout the next 10 to 11 years, Magic didn't stop piling on the awards. Like we mentioned before, he was a 5-time champion in the matter of 12 years. He was consistently putting up at least 19 points, 6 boards, and 11 assists throughout this time frame. All-time great numbers. He was winning countless awards, and it seemed like things would never go downhill for Magic. But then, a nightmare came true for Magic, and I'm sure you guys are all aware of what I'm talking about. After the 1991 NBA season, Magic Johnson announced to the world that he had contracted the HIV virus and was not able to play in the following season. And that eventually turned into 3 more seasons. In the prime of his career, Magic Johnson got cursed with bad luck and was forced to rack up his sneakers against his will. Well, not quite. During the 1996 season, Magic Johnson came back to the Lakers to play power forward for about 30 games that year, but it wasn't the same. Magic Johnson just wasn't the same player as he was before. It's such a shame that we couldn't see what Magic Johnson could have done during those 4 years. But what if we could? What if Magic Johnson never contracted the HIV virus? We would have gotten to see the Magic Johnson-led Lakers continue their reign of dominance throughout the early to mid-90s. But would we though? How much would the Lakers in the early 90s actually have done with Magic Johnson? Although many people just like to write it off as the Showtime Lakers were getting old, so they wouldn't do anything. Let's really answer this question. From the 1991 to 92 season, the Lakers' record plummeted down from 58-24 to 43-39, a 15-loss decrease. From there, the Lakers went 39-43, 33-49, and then back up to 48-35. How much would Magic Johnson really help these teams though? When Magic Johnson was forced to quit the NBA when he had HIV, he was at the peak of his career, maybe around the later half of his prime, but he was still producing at an all-NBA level. By the time Magic Johnson left the league, he was still putting up a hair under 20 and 13 a game. This was still pretty normal for Magic standards. Magic Johnson would have for sure helped these mediocre Laker teams, but how much? Some of the best players in the Lakers after Magic left were an aging James Worthy, Sedale Threat, who was averaging about 15 points a game during the stretch, Byron Scott, Vlade Divac, and AC Green. But there's one more crucial component people forget about. In the 1992 offseason, Charles Barkley was a free agent. His contract from Philadelphia expired, and Barkley was looking to get out of Philadelphia. According to Barkley himself, it was going crazy for 2 weeks, so I knew it would come down to Portland, the Lakers, or Phoenix. So I get a call from my agent one morning, and he said, "Philly had traded you to the Lakers." So I went to lunch and started drinking. I'm effing so excited that I'm going to the Lakers. 3 hours later, I'm getting an effing call from my agent saying the Sixers were backed out of the deal. I said, "Oh, I'm feeling pretty good right now." So I went out and played that night. Barkley eventually got traded to the Suns, however. On June 7th, 1992, the Suns traded All-Star Jeff Hornacek, Tim Perry, and Andrew Lang to the 76ers for All-Star Charles Barkley. The Suns literally got Barkley for chump change. The Lakers were literally in arm's reach of getting Barkley. Imagine if the Lakers still had Magic Johnson and were still contenders. Imagine how much more they would have fought to make this deal a reality. Imagine how many more pieces they would have tried to put around Magic Johnson to get more championships. Imagine the talented pieces they would have kept around if they were still contenders. I think if Magic Johnson is still playing for the Lakers while this deal is being made, I think the Lakers pull this deal off and we get to see the Magic and Barkley duo together. Granted, they would probably have to give away pieces like Worthy and other role players to get Chuck. Charles Barkley, that following season, with the Suns, led that team to the finals and gave Jordan and the Bulls a run for their money. They pushed that series to 6 games. Charles Barkley literally won the MVP that season. Let's say they traded away Worthy, Sam Perkins, and some draft picks to Phoenix for Charles Barkley. Imagine a starting lineup of Magic Johnson, Byron Scott, sharpshooter Anthony Peeler, Charles Barkley, and Vlade Divac, and Sedale Threat and AC Green both coming off the bench. And we don't even know what other pieces the Lakers would acquire to help this team win. This team is a force. This team would be a legit threat to the MJ Bulls and the Hakeem Rockets. Now obviously, I don't think the Lakers win anything in 1992. Maybe a finals run at best, but most likely not. It would have just been Magic Johnson. But imagine what the Lakers could have done with Barkley. Because Barkley stayed with the Suns for 4 years before getting traded to the Rockets, and a little something called Father Time, I would conservatively give this new Lakers roster about 3 to 4 years together to contend for a new championship before this team gets too old and it would eventually get blown up. That means this new Lakers roster has 1993, 94, 95, and 96 to contend. Now, without an ounce of hesitation, do I believe this Lakers team has any sort of chance against the 96 Bulls, the greatest version of the MJ Bulls we've ever seen? The Lakers would have been the oldest at this point, so that's not happening. In 1994-95, we saw the Houston Rockets win both championships. The Rockets were the 2 seed in 94 and were the 6 seed in 95. I think this would be the Lakers' best gap to pick up new championships. Jordan was out of the league, there wasn't a clear favorite in the West those years, the Eastern Conference was weak. Finally, let's talk about the last year in the equation, 1993. I believe this series, 1993 NBA Finals, the Bulls vs. Lakers, would have been the most pivotal series in the GOAT debate ever. The 93 Bulls were one of the least dominant versions of this team. I mean, let's not get it twisted though. They're still the MJ Bulls, a very hard task. But according to the numbers, the 1993 Bulls had the lowest SRS score of those 6 years. If there was any year for Magic to really cement his name in the GOAT discussion, it would be this year. Let's overview these years again. So obviously it's a no for the 1996 season. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers stole a championship from the Rockets in either 94 or 95. And 1993, although the MJ Bulls is a very tall task, the Lakers would have had Barkley in his prime, Magic Johnson still giving star-level contributions, and players around them that Magic Johnson, being the playmaker he was, would make these guys better. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers snagged this one also. Let's look at the hypothetical resume of Magic Johnson if he won new championships. Let's start off if he only won against Houston. His resume would have 6 rings, and it would be a toss-up for who would win the Finals MVP between Magic and Chuck. Now, imagine if Magic Johnson won 2 more championships, one against the Rockets and one against the Bulls in '93. Magic Johnson would have 7 rings and most likely 1 more Finals MVP. And think about it from MJ's perspective. Imagine what kind of damage it would do towards MJ's legacy if he lost in '93. No first three-peat, Magic would have more rings than him. MJ wouldn't have that iconic undefeated record in the finals. I think Magic would be remembered more from the quote-unquote golden era of basketball than MJ would have. MJ's legacy would have seemed less perfect. It would be more flawed. On top of just purely rings, imagine the awards and achievements Magic would rack up with 5 more good years in the league. Most likely 5 All-Star appearances, 4 to 5 more All-NBA teams. You never know, maybe even another MVP. He would continue to put up impressive stats for a half a decade more. He would probably be the all-time assists leader over John Stockton if it weren't for HIV. This would put Magic with about 17 All-Star appearances, 14 All-NBA appearances, perhaps a 4th MVP, more longevity to his legacy, and the all-time assists record. Imagine this resume compared to the previous 3 players we talked about earlier, Jordan, LeBron, and Kareem. This new resume of Magic Johnson would put him from being a step below to being neck to neck with these GOATs of the game. In Magic's 6 to 7 rings would even give him a step above the rest. This would also negatively tarnish Jordan's legacy, practically killing 2 birds with 1 stone. If Magic Johnson had this resume today, people wouldn't bat an eye to see Magic as some people's GOAT. If Magic were to somehow never contract HIV and achieve more success, Magic Johnson would lose the narrative that he needed a super team to win. Magic Johnson would have been seen as a pure winner. His name would hold so much more weight in NBA history. But I don't know, I might just be crazy for thinking this. Leave me a comment letting me know what you think Magic would have done if he never got HIV.